Yeah, this is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
Let's go!
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
It's a slightly different vibe for the show today, of course. The historic news that the Queen had passed away happened just a few hours before we went to air. So there's a lot of reflecting about the Queen's life and reign on our show today.
And of course, because Australia is part of the Commonwealth, a lot of people, both Australians and expats, actually have had an experience with the Queen, so we talked to some people about that.
Yeah, really enjoyed them. We had a couple of sports people on, and that's the Governor from the West Coast Eagles and Freo's CEO Simon Garlick, but it's about the Queen, let's be honest.
This is Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
It's going to be a very different sort of show today.
It is.
As you've just heard, if you're just waking up to the news now that the Queen has passed away during the night.
Oh,
Yeah, I only did that this morning.
shocking day, even though we were all expecting it to be happening soon. You never expected the Queen to go. The Queen, to me, would be around forever. And I know that's impossible.
Yes.
No, I'm with you, Nath.
It's the Queen.
She's been a beacon
Keep
to
calm
us
and carry
everybody.
on.
She never seemed like that she would... She's been that age for a long time, and I've always felt like she would always govern our world that we live in forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
really sad.
from our point of view, our lives, she's been the Queen
Yes.
for our entire lives.
Yeah.
And we're no spring chickens.
Yeah.
So, it is extraordinary. And we celebrated her life so much during the Platinum Jubilee that it just seemed like, it was all about her for so long. And now that's just abruptly ended.
King Charles.
Yeah, the King
That
Charles
doesn't
III.
that doesn't sound right.
It's just hard to see her not being still at the head of the table.
I know.
Yeah.
The British national anthem now changes to God Save the King.
It was amazing, wasn't it, that there was a period there where the public weren't that keen on the Queen, and that was during Diana and stuff, but yet she just really pulled it back, and
The
I've
platitudes
enjoyed her
definitely helped
so
that.
much over the last,
It's been a real celebration.
decade.
of her.
decade. Like,
Yeah.
She's been great.
I
She's
agree,
been
Nathan.
smiling and
She's
having a great
well-dressed.
time, and she's always been well dressed. But today's
What
show
did she
is
dress in
going to be
drag for
a
a while?
bit different, everybody. We are going to be celebrating the Queen and crossing to the UK. I'm going to speak to Tracy Vo. One of our old bosses, Mike Cass, is living in the UK. We're going to speak to him very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're just going to be honouring Queen Elizabeth II and thanking her for everything that she did when she gave her life to service.
How good is exploring our amazing backyard again?
And ticking off all the Aussie big things. Pineapples, bananas, melons.
Oh, that's making me hungry. Head to whatif.com and start planning your big Aussie adventure.
What if it's Aussie for travel?
With the news overnight that the Queen had passed away, of course, everybody's impacted by
Yes.
that. But if you live in the UK, even more so. And we thought, what a great opportunity to catch up with one of our old bosses.
One of our favourite old bosses.
That's
true.
true.
That
we
is
do
true.
talk about
We do
him
not
very
lie.
fondly.
Yeah.
Mike Cass, good morning.
Good morning. That's very kind of you to say, but I do remember you telling me I was also the boss that stayed around the shortest time.
That's why we like you the most.
Why. And we do feel like you meeting us pushed you out of the,
He left to
radio
go to
landscape
Melbourne,
here in
remember?
Perth.
Yes.
He burnt us. He was
Yes.
like, done with these guys, off to Melbourne I go, and then back to the UK.
Now,
as it
you're a
turns
big
out,
deal
Mike.
in the UK, Mike, because you're running big radio stations over there. So, of course, when news like this breaks for you, what swings into action? What did you have to do?
It's a very strange day because obviously you start off with everything as normal. Obviously, the Queen announced that she'd postponed a meeting with British Council yesterday, so people then begin to think about her health, and then the news breaks that doctors are beginning to get worried about her. So that's when, as broadcasters, radio stations, and newspapers, and everything over here, start to fear the worst. That the Queen that we've known all of our lives
Yep.
is not going to be with us anymore. For a radio station over here, it's hard to work out exactly how to judge the mood of what's going on. All you can try and do is be respectful. I mean, we've been playing quite downbeat mellow music since the news broke, and just trying to make sure that people are informed with what's going on in what's going to be the start of a 12-day mourning period.
Yeah.
Mike, is there things you can't do? Is there any actually rules and regulations, or is it just up to you to be able to make the call on what's decent at this particular time?
The best thing for music radio stations to do, obviously, if you're working on a news radio station, you've got all of the facts, figures, and you're just trying to get stuff out there and gather people's opinion.
Yep.
For a music radio station, you have to start thinking about lyrical content of songs. You have to start thinking about, is there anything in there that's going to offend people? How can you try and make sure that the radio station is as respectful as possible, but and doesn't put a foot wrong? And it's really hard to get right. We had a 20-minute debate as to whether Jeff Buckley and Hallelujah, which is a beautiful song, could be misconstrued because of the title.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
Wow. Isn't that so? Because people are really on tenterhooks, and a lot of people are, a lot of people aren't as affected as others, but other people will take a lot of things personally. Mike, we always hear that world leaders and figureheads in the public, a lot of publications and radio stations and TV stations have packages ready to go if they had a pass. Is that the same? Is that what you guys had in your stations?
There's always an element of preparation. Sadly, when anyone gets to a certain age, like you say, world leaders, film stars, or whatever, there's going to be a day when they're no longer with us, and they are. We try and prepare as much as we can without being disrespectful.
No.
And obviously, I don't know if you guys have been following our political situation over here. If you're too prepared, you can also be incredibly wrong. We changed prime ministers a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So if you'd assume that Boris Johnson was going to be the prime minister and think that you've got everything recorded and sorted, things need to be changed at the last minute. But yeah, lots of preparation has gone into it. And the coverage of the next 12 days and the procedures, processes, and everything that takes place, that's the fascinating part, because there's everything from the Ascension Council having to meet to announce that Charles will be the next king. And then that has to be confirmed by the Privy Council, and there's a lot of policies and procedures that go into place. And actually, somebody in the office turned around and started going, does that mean, the bank money will have to be reprinted, etc. So there's a lot that goes into the thinking of it and what will happen.
Mike, what about on a human level? Obviously, you manage a lot of people in your office as well. What was the reaction, from your staff and from yourself when you heard the news? Is there sort of this genuine feeling of overwhelming sadness, or is it a celebration of a life well lived and a monarch who did an extraordinary job?
Yeah, the first part is overwhelming sadness. As I say, she was the monarch for 70 years.
Yeah.
There are very few people who will remember her father on the throne.
Yes.
And so whether you are pro-monarchy or not, that's a part of your life that's no longer there. This incredibly stable, incredibly calm, incredibly stoic leader is no longer going to be around anymore. And at a time when there is instability in world events and world politics, somebody who could offer sage advice, having been through a lot themselves, isn't going to be available to people. Anyone in my team, from the younger members right through to people who are older than I am, and yes, Nat, that is possible. There are people who are older than that. There is that shock and sadness.
Yeah.
And a kind of a gratitude. Her life was absolutely devoted to service. The recent celebrations of her Jubilee were a fantastic time for people to get together and be proud of everything that she'd achieved. And I think over the next few days, there is going to be a level of grief that I think will catch some people by surprise. On social media, there are people who are outspoken Republicans who are actually, turning around and saying that, they admire her life, they admire everything that they achieved, and they're quite sad at her passing. So I don't think there's anyone who's going to feel anything other than that in the next few days.
Mike, the Queen being such a huge figure around the world, do you think that with King Charles III taking over, that this will be a lessening? I don't know if that's...
I know what you mean, of the monarchy. The importance of the monarchy will wane a bit?
Yeah, that's the words.
I think there was so much love and respect for Queen Elizabeth II that, there was never going to be anyone looking at the monarchy in any other way other than great respect for when she was on the throne. Charles announced plans way before, anything that's happened recently, of his desire to see a slightly trimmed down monarchy that, in his words, was fit for purpose, make sure that people felt that the monarchy was still relevant. It's not been without its issues over the last few years. And I think that, King Charles will be very keen to make sure that everything that his mum worked so hard to build and devote her life to continues, but in a way that is also right for the 21st century. And I think the way that the royal family has embraced everything from social media through to just how they react and engage with the public over the last 10, 15 years has shown that they are keen to make sure that they aren't just seen as an outdated institution. But it's very telling that you look around the world and there's social media from radio stations in Canada who are talking about the passing of the UK's Queen, and she was the monarch of Canada as well. Many countries. So I think there is going to be after a respectful period, there are going to be some people questioning, whether the membership of the Commonwealth and everything will be right for them. But that's a conversation for the future. Right now, I think lots of people will just be, celebrating a life that was dedicated to service and to try and make things better.
And just lastly, I just want to ask, and this is more so a divisive thing, Prince Harry and what's been going on with him and the scandals and the things he's been saying to the press. Do you think that the people generally in the UK are going to forgive him putting the Queen through so much scandal in the year that she passed?
I mean, Prince Andrew probably gets a bit of
And Prince Andrew. No, but
speaking of scandal,
I agree.
in the scheme of scandals.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's very hard to predict because I think it will rely greatly on what happens next.
Yes, and what how the press reported as well, Yeah,
I think obviously I don't think anyone is going to take a swipe at people whose mum or grandmother has just passed away. But I think in terms of what their roles in a future royal family, I think that's the kind of thing that King Charles will be looking at and trying to make sure that he gauges public opinion wisely and has a monarchy that is fit for purpose. There is no doubt that the scandals that have embroiled the family over the last few years has raised a world of questions, and there will be even more questions that people just felt was disrespectful to raise because of Queen Elizabeth's long reign.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mike Cass, our former boss, and now a big wig in UK radio. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Huge wig.
Wonderful to speak.
We love you, Mike. We miss you too. Thank you.
Take care.
He's always our favourite boss, including the one we've got now.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
We are going to be celebrating Queen Elizabeth all morning this morning. I just thought we'd look into what her life was like in Buckingham Palace. Darren McGrady, he used to work at Buckingham Palace in the kitchen for 11 years. and he said that, you know, the Queen, breakfast was very simple for her. Some Kellogg's cereal from a plastic container that she would serve herself.
Yeah.
Did you think that everything that she eat would come from a cloche?
Yes.
Nathan, you know if you, I know that she's got the servants in the kitchen house that you're talking about. Do you know if she ever cooked for herself?
Prince Philip used to cook the barbecue at Balmoral, so he would take care of cooking the snags on the thinger, which even that surprised me because it's a royal family. I just think they've got like footmen and stuff.
Yeah, I think life in Balmoral was a bit more casual. That's why she liked it so much.
Yeah. So she loved dark chocolate. It was her favourite. She would not stand for garlic in her meals because she hated the smell of it, nor when anyone would eat at Buckingham Palace would there be any garlic served to anybody.
How do they keep the
garlic
vampires
bread.
away?
It never, Buckingham Palace, during her reign, never had garlic
70
bread.
years without garlic bread.
Oh, no,
Isn't that unbelievable?
You wouldn't be able to eat there.
And why, I know, and why you would imagine that the Queen always eats off the finest crockery, the chef said that she would occasionally eat from a plastic yellow Tupperware container that they would run up like...
Over the sink, you
over the sink crying. So they would put leftovers in a little Tupperware container, and then they'd have a footman go and grab it, and then they'd just bring it up to
Did she have a microwave in her bedroom or something? How did she warm it up?
I don't know.
Great,
It's extraordinary,
great insight.
isn't it?
But isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
She was quite normal.
the Queen was pretty relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, under those crown jewels and everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Nathan, Nat, and Shaun.
Massive footy finals this weekend, of course, for Fremantle Dockers back in action against Collingwood. We're joined by Fremantle CEO Simon Garlick. Simon, first of all, I just want to ask you, with the Queen's passing, I believe the games tonight and also tomorrow there'll be a reflection or honouring the Queen in some way?
Quite possibly, Shaun. I haven't heard that as yet, but I imagine there'll be some sort of recognition of some sorts, but haven't had it absolutely confirmed just yet.
Simon Garlick, it is well known that the Queen could not stand garlic. She hated the smell of it. Any comment?
Is that why you've never met her?
Look, I haven't confirmed that either, to be frank. Things that erase it. It's there's a few people who aren't a fan of me. I didn't know the Queen was one of them, but it's good to know now.
You're not allowed in Buckingham Palace, or at least you weren't.
Can I just clarify as well, too, was there some Shaun McManus highlights on the lead-in to this interview? Did I just hear?
Well, I put together a bit of Very, 14 years I've found 15 seconds worth of highlights, Simon.
That you put together yourself, Shawnee?
Of course.
Fantastic. I love it. Yeah, sounds great. Just wanted to check.
Yeah.
He shows everyone as soon as I start working here, they have to sit down. It's like an indoctrination. They have to sit down, look at the Shaun McManus package, then look at Shaun's package.
And then look at his highlights.
Hey, if you want the job, that's what it takes. Simon, what's it feel like in Melbourne at the moment? You are over there. There's the games this weekend, including our game, is going to be right off.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's actually a lovely morning in Melbourne this morning. I think footy's pretty big after what was an unbelievable weekend with the 4 finals that were just incredible games of footy in themselves. But big game tonight at the MCG between Brisbane and Melbourne. So you've spent enough time here, Shawnee, to know it sort of takes over the whole town.
Yeah.
Real feel to that at the moment. And then obviously we're pretty excited to hear the news early in the week that our game had sold out. Might be a bit of a different feel for us at the MCG than it was at Optus Stadium last Saturday night. There might be a few more Collingwood supporters than Freo.
No, I think it'll be even.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, though. I mean, we beat Melbourne at the MCG early in the year, and the Melbourne fans that we do have here, and there are quite a few, surprising amount, are pretty vocal. They might be outnumbered slightly tomorrow night, but just such an awesome experience for our guys as well, too, and I think they're feeling pretty confident.
Simon, whenever someone has a big event coming up or a massive test or, something that they have to, a big obstacle, you can feel sick in the stomach. Do you get that feeling or is it excitement? What is it? Because the whole state is waiting for a certain result, and if you don't give it to us, then people are going to be really angry with you.
You personally.
I was feeling fine until you finished that question. Now that you put it like that, that feeling is starting to rise. No, not a lot I can do, so I certainly don't at this stage anyway. So I don't feel too much performance anxiety in that regard. Yeah. But it's interesting. I do think that we're a really young group. I mean, if you take Dave Mundy and Michael Walters out, we're already the youngest team in the final 8 as of last week, and the least experience from a games played point of view. But there's a certain feel to this cohort of guys that just can't see them being overawed. Some of them don't think too deeply about footy in that sense and just get on with it and play, and there's others who do, but just are built in a certain way that I think they're going to rise to the occasion with this sort of thing. So regardless of how it does go, it's just phenomenal. Shaun will tell you that there's a bit of a saying in footy that a finals game is worth 10 normal season games. So the experience these guys are getting is fantastic, but I think they're feeling pretty confident about how they can perform.
Have you noticed much purple around the town? Because I've heard of a few people who are flying over for it.
Yeah, not as yet. I mean, it's only early on Friday morning. We got in sort of late last night, but I'd suggest there will be. Yeah, I know of plenty that are coming over.
Yeah.
And you actually notice it even just in a normal home and away game. You see on the morning of a game a fair bit of the Purple Army out and about. So I think, we very quickly we'd sold about 5,000 tickets directly to our members as soon as they went on sale. So I'd suggest there's going to be 10 to 15,000 Fremantle supporters there. So they'll be severely outnumbered, but hopefully we can give them a fair bit to cheer about.
Absolutely, Simon. With the Collingwood Army, as we spoke about earlier on, as you said, upwards of 90,000 people are going to be at this game. Are you fearful?
All rough as guts, aren't they?
Are you fearful of walking into the MCG without many people surrounding you?
Well, it's interesting. I assume, Shaun, did you play at Victoria Park?
Yeah, I did.
So for Nathan and Nat's benefit, that Victoria Park was Collingwood's original home ground, and it was a reasonably intimidating place. And as you'd walk through the race, you'd often get some sort of liquid thrown on you, and generally it was warm.
Don't ask what it is.
I'm pretty sure
they weren't wasting their beer, put it that way. It wasn't Powerade. Simon, I caught the train to the 2018 Grand Final in Eagles gear from Victoria Park Station. How do you reckon I went? They wouldn't let me on the train.
Wow. And you got through and you survived.
I saw one girl in an Eagles beanie and made a beeline for her, and she made some space for me. But everybody else just stood there. There was the doors are opened. Not one single person moved to let me on. And then I made a beeline for her and squeezed
And then you can hear whispers of someone going, "I'll get a bag, you get a teeth."
A lot of hissing going on. It's I've never been more terrified in my life.
They're a different breed. We're pretty excited.
Very excited. Well, I'm super excited here, as are a number of Fremantle supporters. And a lot of WA football fans who want to see Fremantle progress. Not all of them, but some of them.
Or want to see Collingwood get beaten also.
Yeah, all of the above, Simon. We wish you all the best for tomorrow night. Look forward to a great 24 hours for the Dockers.
Thanks for having me on, guys, and thanks for your support during the year too.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you, Simon.
See you, mate.
You're listening to Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
Our own Tracy Bowe from Channel 9 is on secondment in the UK as the UK correspondent for a couple of months. It's been a big time for her. Let's catch up with her.
Oh, Tracy, what a
biggest story on the planet.
I know.
And you're there for it.
I know.
What's happening? Where are you right now?
I'm outside Buckingham Palace. So we've been here since I was here half an hour before the news broke.
Yep.
I was just here to set up basically after the news that her health wasn't great and doctors were closely monitoring her. Yeah, it's been just a bizarre evening, but yeah.
Trace, we only spoke to you at the start of this week, actually, and you're following the royal situation at the time. Was there any whispers that the Queen wasn't travelling well at that stage?
No, well, we only saw her 2 days ago, Shaun. She was receiving the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, in Balmoral. We saw those photos. And look, she did look frail, but she was smiling. And we all sort of thought, well, surely if she's able to receive Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, she might be going okay. But she had to cancel a Zoom meeting the next day. And then, of course, we've got that statement that doctors are monitoring her closely. But then as soon as the family members started heading up to Balmoral, we knew that something wasn't right. And I'll explain when I was at Buckingham Palace, there was this beautiful rainbow actually leading up to the news of her passing.
Wow.
And then now, when the news broke, it was just such a somber moment. But it was a bit of a celebration, guys, because people have just been playing the anthem.
Yes.
And just,
it's an extraordinary life, isn't it?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
I read last night that she wasn't feeling the best and the family were going to decide, and I thought, is this her time? And then I thought, No, and even though she's 96, I went, nah.
No, she's invincible, Nathan.
And then when I woke up this morning and turned on the television and saw that the Queen had passed, I know a lot of people will say it's not shocking, but it is shocking because she's been our Queen for our entire lives.
That's right, guys. Sorry, I'm just on standby for the Today Show as well.
Okay.
So I've got two conversations going on here. But look, I think, you know what it is, though? We've had these reports of her health deteriorating. Yes. But I'm going to when I spoke to people today, there still wasn't that preparation of her passing away. I spoke to some people saying that they thought the Queen would be here forever.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a huge transition. They had a big week already with the new Prime Minister.
Yes.
Now they've got King Charles.
Yeah.
King Charles.
And Charles III. Yeah.
That is what we've got now.
Like our money has to change.
Yeah.
There's a lot that changes.
Money will change.
Yeah.
The anthem will change.
The coins.
It's going to change the world as we know it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Queen has been the constant for 70 years for the people of England.
Yeah.
And we've she's of our generation, guys. So it's going to be just such a change but look, we're here and it is such a moment in history. I feel very privileged that I'm able to report it and to celebrate really what she's done, just not for this country but for the world.
And the celebration of her Platinum Jubilee, it's kind of, it's a beautiful time. The fact that she didn't go through a protracted illness before she passed away.
Right.
And a very, very brief time at the age of 96, that's an incredible life.
Incredible life. Like to still be also doing it, having her final duty, duty to bring in the new Prime Minister 2 days ago at 96. She's a phenomenal woman.
Absolutely, Trace. We all echo that, of course. Where you are at Buckingham Palace, how many people are gathering? Are people walking up with flowers? What's the go?
There's just too many people. The crowd has been growing. It's late at night here now, and the crowd just keeps growing and growing and growing. I can't even see through the crowd to go. I can't even see where the gates are to see what's been laid down, what tributes are there at this stage, because it's just a sea of people here, and rightly so. It's interesting, though, because we're not seeing the level of, grief that was caused when Princess Diana passed away.
That was
some
so
level
unexpected.
Of grief, 100%. But there is certainly people are wanting to remember her so fondly and what she's done
and
for everybody.
There'll be a lot of tears today, but also I think a lot of people should dive into looking at the Queen's past and actually seeing her incredible life. I mean, she was made Queen at 27 years old. She was a Queen by accident, basically. She wasn't even supposed to be in line for the throne.
No, that's right. It was
unbelievable stuff. So everyone should do a bit of Google on Queen Elizabeth today and see how amazing her life is. Thanks so much,
Trace.
Tivo.
We so appreciate your time because we know you are under the pump this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Tivo.
Good on you.
Bye.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun in podcast form.
We've got the big rooster in the house, Jeremy McGovern from the West Coast Eagles. And Gov, it's been a big morning. Obviously, we're going to talk about footy, but hearing the Queen had passed away, I guess for most people, we've been saying it all morning, you never thought this day would ever come.
No, she just kept fighting, didn't she? But massive innings, for sure.
Yeah, I know, 96 and 70 years on the throne. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
And passed while doing the job. So many people are saying that, they were thinking that she might retire this year and all that sort of stuff.
Can you retire from it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I thought you just had to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen very often.
She actually was never supposed to be the Queen. So her father became king when his brother abdicated the throne because he fell in love with an American socialite.
And she was divorced.
And she was divorced. So then that was like, that was scandalous.
Yes.
So then her father became king, and then then she was Queen.
And she was the oldest child.
25?
26, I think. Or 20, Yeah, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, massive innings, as you said earlier on. Last week we got to catch up with you after Brisbane had knocked off Richmond in the first final, right? And we're going absolutely spare.
That was an extraordinary game.
Finals
That was
still
the warm-up.
out of control.
The entree into those main courses, far out. That was a serious weekend of footy. It's probably one of the better weekends of footy I've ever seen.
It's amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate, credit to Freo. That game was, I thought they were down and out, completely gone, and that was an absolute cracker. You were there, Shawnee, weren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Glenn
screaming.
Jakovich was just in front of me after we'd scored 2 goals. He was turned to me as a non-biased participant in the game, and he was like, "This is over. You're going to win by a couple of goals here."
So it's called
bang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an absolute cracking game to watch. But I was up in Karratha watching it at the pub, mate, and they were going nuts.
So you took your dad fishing for Father's Day.
Yeah, I took him fishing.
How did you go?
Yeah, good. We We bought a fair few fillets back. We're not going to go hungry anyway. Put it that way.
What'd you catch?
A lot of blue bone, cold trout, mangrove jack.
Oh, we wouldn't know. We didn't get any. So
it's weird.
Yeah, not yet. You just keep doing the right thing.
Not even a sneaky six
finger.
fingers or you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've got some neighbours fishing there. We call them. They're just all the stuff that we don't want.
Marley and Hudson are fine. They're playing. Do you want to build a snowman? You keep going, sweetheart.
Just stop making so much noise, please. It's just my time for
That's
quiet.
a reindeer, Hudson.
They're stealing your thunder, Gov.
You're okay, Gov. Absolutely okay. So it was
I've
great
just
to have.
leaned over and given them the look.
Great to have your dad up there for Father's Day. So sunk a few tins. Where at what pub?
Yeah, we did. We had a couple at the Tambray and went to the tavern. We did a bit of a tour. Dad hadn't been up there for ages, so one of my best mates took us around town to all the local waterholes, and we had a look. Nothing too much actually. It was actually pretty tame. My old man brought his moonshine up. He has moonshine.
Oh God!
So as soon as he brings that up, I'm thinking, oh no. And so me and my best mate, our plan the whole time was just do not let him get too much of that moonshine into anyone.
Right.
So
right.
he can wake up and go fishing.
Is it like prison booze? Does he make it in a toilet?
No, it's his butterscotch snaps, but he makes it in his bathroom.
Yes.
At home. Yeah.
So how does one make butterscotch?
Well, he just makes the alcohol and then mixes it with whatever sort of flavouring I guess you want.
So it's
in the bathtub.
Yeah, it's in the bathtub. He loves it. It tastes beautiful. It does.
Yeah, but you regret it the next day.
Oh yeah, you regret it for the next 5 days. That's for sure. It's solid.
When you're with your dad and you're travelling around and you're going to a pub and just having drinks, especially when the footy's on, do people? Are they all up in your grill or what's it like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a few. Up there, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Everyone just says g'day up there, really.
pretty
No one's
laid back.
really cares about a signature or photo too much up there. They all just want to say g'day and have a beer.
Oh, that's nice.
It's great.
That is nice. When you were going to the different water holes, do you remember the name of the nightclub in Karratha?
Evo's.
Go there once.
Yeah, Evo's. I've been there before. I've been to probably two of the worst in WA. Evo's and Studio 146.
No, Studio 146 is now a tourist destination.
That's right. It is. Manu went there.
Yeah, there's a couple there.
What about the one in Broome that was in Chinatown? What was the name of that one, Matt? Do you remember that one?
I haven't been there.
Oh, God.
I'm going to Broome soon. I'll let you know. I'm going to Broome in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know.
You know, Thursday nights at the rowing.
If there's a dive hole, then Gov's at it.
You want to get your top 5 by the end of the
see, I'll look up worst places to go in worst nightclubs, not the good ones.
Hey, Gov, there's 2 big games over this weekend, and from a bias point of view, do you see it going as the experts or the odds suggest, Melbourne beating Brisbane and Collingwood beating Freo?
Yeah, I'll probably do. I think it's going to be tough. I think Freo are still a massive chance, but I reckon it's going to be a tough one for Brizzy. I think Melbourne will bounce back. They played pretty well on the weekend. They just obviously didn't get the win. So I'd be going with Melbourne and Collingwood if I was a betting man.
Do you think if you've been kicked to the curb, I just got this feeling about Brisbane, right? So they've been kicked to the curb this year twice by Brisbane. Got a really poor record at the MCG that everyone's talking about. Is that the time where because, your back's against the wall, that you produce something that you haven't done so far?
Okay. If you're going to, that's the time to do it.
Yeah.
It might be, yeah. We'll find out.
Yeah.
On tonight, isn't it?
Tonight, yeah.
Yes, it is. We'll find out tonight. So,
what do you got on tonight, mate?
Don't ask me. Hey, I'm just watching Hudson and Marley. Do they get along really well?
they're actually not too bad.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
I've got
So
nothing
far.
to really compare them to, but no, they get on pretty well every now and then. They sleep in the same bed at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it sounds great, don't? It is shocking.
Oh, really? Why?
It's one of them's crying, the next one's crying. He kicked me,
they're
you're
constantly
pushing me.
waking one another up. Is that because you're renting while you're renovating?
Yeah.
So you're all squeezed in.
Yeah, it's nice. I actually like it. It's good for them. But
Yeah, it is.
It's a bit of a washing machine in that bed. They just rotate and the sheet and everything's just... By the time you go in there at 10 o'clock before you're hitting the hay, you've got to reshuffle the whole bed.
Gov, I used to talking about them being in the same bed, but Nathan and I, we shared bedrooms with our brothers for all the years. Now, you got your own.
I got my own.
Your brothers
my
shared,
brothers
didn't
did
they?
have to share until the house got extended when they were probably 9 and 11, and then they got their own rooms. But
So you and your brother, what?
Yeah, we had bunk beds. I remember vividly we'd rotate and argue about who's on the top bunk.
Yeah.
I never.
And the
was
biggest,
that the
biggest
coveted
issue
one? Was the top bunk? You wanted the top bunk?
You wanted the top, But the biggest issue that we had is I just used to dangle my arm down the side for no reason.
And
that was the biggest.
Infuriating.
It was like
my brother used to dangle his arm over, and that was encroaching in my space.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to put a blanket up so I didn't have to see it.
Yeah.
But tell him, yeah.
Oh, which one?
I was thinking about
The girlfriend?
the rain that came down one night.
I once had a dream it was raining. I woke up, and then what had actually happened is my brother had wet the bed.
Yeah, I was just about to say Mitch got the last laugh for me and pissed on me.
Yeah. The other worst one was when Graydon was a little bit older and he brought his girlfriend home and they had a special time on the top bunk. And I was underneath going... and it really, we needed an Allen key to tighten up the bed too because it was just rocking, and I was like, oh my God.
This is in a bedroom that had no door.
No door.
Oh, far out. That's even better just to top it all off.
This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
Of course, the biggest news story in the world is the fact that Queen Elizabeth II passed away overnight. Earlier this morning, just not too long ago, actually, we caught up with UK radio. He's from Virgin Radio UK. He's one of their journos. His name's Kane Reeves. Let's have a listen.
Kane, we are rocked over here, even though a 96-year-old woman passing shouldn't be global news.
Yes.
The fact that we thought that the Queen would be around forever it's absolutely shocking.
How is it for you guys?
Well, you're right in the fact that she was 96 and this news shouldn't be a surprise, but it felt as though she would live forever.
Yes.
We felt here in the UK that this news would never have to reach us. The people in the streets of London, you could see them stand still and check their phones for news. And then the news broke around about 6:30 in the evening that she had passed, and incredible grief. You could feel the grief across London where we were. The Mall in Buckingham Palace very quickly filled up, and then within around 2 hours, the grief turned to celebration. A beautiful rainbow over Buckingham Palace. Crowds singing God Save the Queen and also cheering for her reign and celebrating her life, as Her Majesty, I imagine, would have wanted us to have done rather than grieve.
No doubt about it, Kane. With your job being a journalist at the moment, it's a bloody important one, actually getting all the information out and celebrating Queen's life, as you were saying. How is it reporting on this for you? How busy are you trying to make sure that you help people out and celebrating this reign?
Well, it's a great sense of pride to keep the British public informed, because obviously there's such a wide interest in her, even from members of the public who aren't particularly that fond of the royal family. They, at this moment, kind of understand and respect the duty that she gave to the country. And it's a case of actually reflecting that and making sure that what she did is well documented, and you can tell that from just the statements from world leaders, past and present, that have come through, and it goes to show that really she went above politics.
Definitely.
She really did, and it's just such a shame. It's so sad, and if I'm honest, the news hasn't really sunk in yet. I think later tonight when I'm on the tube back home, opening a beer to cheers the Queen and her long reign, I think that's when it will hit, and just very sad at the moment, very sad.
Yeah, of course.
The thing about the royal family, and we hear it all the time, but I think at times like this it really, I don't know, it's really clear, and that is they live a life of duty, and can you let us know what's expected in the days to come under Operation London Bridge? Because we know that normally a family loses their mother or their grandmother and they grieve privately, but that's not the case for the royal family.
No, and the word duty is spot on, because the Queen, she reigned at the young age of 25.
Yeah.
Working at 25, I hated having to get up and go to work at 25. And she stuck by her duty for the British people right up until the end, even in the last few days, appointing the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss. And so now the duty goes over to I was going to say Prince Charles, now King Charles III, which still feels very strange to say. So his duty will now be to address the British public tomorrow and the rest of the Commonwealth. He will make a speech on TV, which will be broadcast around the world. They will be staying in Balmoral in Scotland this evening and then travelling down back to London to Buckingham Palace tomorrow morning. The Queen's body will transport on a private train to come to Buckingham Palace as well. Then she will rest in state, and members of the public will be able to come and pay their respects to her. We haven't got clue of the plan for the funeral yet. It will be a full state funeral, but we expect that to be within a week. So it's just a turbulent time at the moment, and this is when we really need now King Charles, I think, to reassure the nation, do what his mother would have done, make us feel to keep calm, carry on and celebrate.
Yeah. Kane, do you reckon that's easy for the public and also the journalists to be able to get behind King Charles in this situation?
It's very strange, because all we've ever known is the Queen.
Yes.
The thing that made the Queen stand out for so many people is that she always kept herself away from politics. So whenever there were divisions within the British public of, the Labour Party against the Conservative Party, you knew that you always had the Queen who was just making sure everything was okay, whatever party you supported. King Charles is quite well known for dipping his toe into politics now and then, which goes against everything the Queen has been about in a long reign. That will be interesting to see what happens. I think he needs to stay away from politics. He needs to take great example from his mother. Yeah. And I think eventually the British public will warm to King Charles. I think, I don't know if you remember when he married Camilla, there was uproar in the UK. But she's very much now worked her way into our hearts. And I think over time we will grow to accept him. But there's also the younger generation wanting William to be king. Yeah. So that's what will be interesting. How does King Charles connect with the younger generation? Because he's a 73-year-old man.
Well, that's TikTok, isn't it?
Yes.
He has to get on TikTok.
Hey, Kane, we really appreciate your time. We know it's getting very late in the UK right now, and that you've got a busy time ahead of you. We thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much.
See you, mate.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
It's a historic day today.
It is. It is the end of an era of something that we've had for our entire lives. And really, it's amazing, isn't it, that children from now that are born from today on will have only ever known King Charles.
Yeah. And King William, probably.
And King William. Yeah. And we have just had nothing but Queen Elizabeth II.
I always thought, we all have thought, seeing her there, right? So the world, you wake up, the Queen's been there, the world's going to survive type of stuff. You don't know what's going to happen from here on in. No, we're all going to continue on, but it's just a weird situation.
How the monarchy will withstand
will they have any of that power? Will we really care?
And also
what difference it will make.
The strength of the ties of Australia, I think more so to the Queen rather than the royal family. So what's that going to do?
Given that there are countries recently who have become independent. So countries like Barbados, like in the last 12 months, have said no, we don't want it. We want to be a republic and stand on our two feet, not be be ruled by the Queen.
Yep.
And now with the Queen not there, whether other countries in the Commonwealth will follow suit. Including us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The question's going to be raised.
The amazing thing being part of the Commonwealth, though, is that a lot of us have had experiences with the Queen. Natalie and I were invited to her garden party.
And Shaun wasn't, which really stung, didn't it?
I went to the King's 70th birthday.
No, he was a prince, so let's not jazz it up.
He's the king now.
He was a prince
ahead of my times.
He was a prince then.
I knew where it angled, so that's what I was about. I'm angling
and yours was a dirty old barbecue. Ours was a garden party where we stood behind Jerry Hall.
True story. Yep. We got security screened just after Jerry Hall.
Yes, made friends with many towns mayors.
Yeah, that's right. The Port Hedland mayor and us were like that for a while.
So close. When I was younger, for the bicentennial, the Queen was doing a tour around Australia and I got to dance for her and she was impressed. I wore green Stubbies shorts and a yellow Bonds t-shirt and I had green ribbons tied around my arms and I danced to Celebrate Good Times, Come On.
What kind of moves were you pulling then?
There's a lot of jumping and bopping and a lot of like being down,
down low and then bursting up.
Then bursting up.
Who did the choreography?
Shaking your arms to make the ribbons fly. Some teacher. No, it was everyone all the different schools had to do the choreography. So back in the day, there was no internet, so I'm guessing that we all either. I think it must have been a VHS tape.
It was
sent around.
a combined school's effort.
Yeah, so everyone, and then everyone was like, doing circles and stuff. Anyway, so then when she was walking around with Prince Philip afterwards, all the kids were lining up, like trying to get her attention, and I had my student council badge on and my faction captain badge on, and I just like thrust my chest forward to get their attention, and then they walked over, and then we're like, "Oh,
the sun
I'm so important." And then they said, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And Mum reminded me of this the other week, actually. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, a famous actor. And I didn't.
Hey. You still got plenty of life ahead of you.
I said a famous actor. But they both stopped and talked to me, and that was like absolutely thrilling. This is really funny. Alan Johnson, he was the health secretary in the UK, right?
Yep.
So he visited the Queen the day after the verdict of the inquest into the death of Diana. And while he was there, he ate these biscuits. He thought, these are absolutely delicious. And then he said to the bloke that was with later on, that cheese and those really dark biscuits were absolutely delicious, weren't they? And he goes, what dark biscuits? And then he goes, oh, these dark biscuits that I ate. And he goes, they're for the corgis. So while he was there...
They were probably better than the human food.
He ate the dog food.
The Queen stitched him up, but did she slide them in for
it's
a bit
royal
of
corgi food, though. I'm sure it was fine.
The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
With the Queen passing away earlier this morning after reigning for 70 years. We celebrated her Platinum Jubilee not too long ago. The age of 96, extraordinary innings.
Yeah, but we thought, a lot of people have probably had a bit of a personal experience with the Queen. Bernadette, how are you?
I'm really well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic, Bernadette. So have you had is it you or your dad that's had the experience with the Queen?
It was actually my dad.
Yeah.
He was a chef in the army back in the 70s until he passed away. And then we were living in Papua New Guinea, and it was around about independence time in the 70s. And he served the Queen for a big function dinner. And there was someone, I don't know who it was, whether it was a local person or someone in government up there.
Yeah.
They were having seafood. And there was the finger bowls, with the water and the lemon.
Yes.
And someone sitting near the Queen actually drank from the water bowl. So instead of this person feeling out of place, she picked up the water bowl and drank from it as well.
Oh, that's nice.
No, what a great story.
That was a story my dad told, and we've told that to our kids. We've told that to everybody that we know that was what happened, so we believe it did happen.
What a gracious woman to make someone feel that comfortable and not out of place.
Nice one, Bernadette.
Yeah, that's a lovely story. Thanks, Bernadette. Abby's in Leader. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Abby.
Abby, what's your Queen experience?
I was lucky enough to go to her 80th birthday party.
Oh, lovely. How did that come about?
They did a thing on the TV in the UK that you could enter yourself and your child. So I entered my stepson because my daughter was too young, and we were lucky enough, along with a fair few thousand other people, to be picked to go. So we ended up going to Buckingham Palace and seeing inside the palace and getting lots of free stuff.
What a great memory.
What's some of the memorable free stuff that you got, Abby?
Hamper, camera.
A camera?
We got to meet J.K. Rowling as
did
well,
you?
and Michael Bond.
Yes.
But my stepson actually, with the free camera, the Queen was walking past us, so he yelled out, "Oi, Queenie!"
Yes.
And she turned round and he took a close-up photo of her. He has a photo of her where she was right in front of him, and she just turned and stopped.
Oi,
Queenie. Abby, that's fantastic. Hey, Abby, when you got picked, was the security stuff really full on before you were able to let in?
No, that's what surprised me. I mean, the letter came through the post in a brown envelope, and I had to send through a police check.
Yes.
But when you got to the palace, no, they just had the guards there, and you went through, and could have been anybody.
Wow,
that's extraordinary, isn't it? Hey,
cool.
Abby, how are you feeling today after hearing that she'd passed away overnight?
Mixture of sadness and pride, really.
Yeah.
I think, people are saying it's sad, but she had an amazing life.
Yes.
What a wonderful life. And I think also in her latter years, she's made us all realise that every family is dysfunctional.
Yes, that's true.
And it's made her more human. So I think we should celebrate her rather than be sad.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to think
really
about
well
it,
said.
Abby.
Thank you so much for calling in, Abby.
This is Nathan, Nat and Shaun.
With the Queen passing away this morning, we're paying tribute to her. What an extraordinary life and service. 70 years of being on the throne it's unprecedented. It's his longest ever.
How lucky within that 70 years if you had an experience with the Queen. That's what we're talking to people about right now. Nikki's in Yokine. Hey, Nikki.
Good morning. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Nikki. Good morning to you. What's your experience, Nikki?
Okay, so I grew up in South Australia.
Yeah.
And back in, I think it was either 74 or 75, so I was in grade 4 or 5, I don't remember the exact year. But the Hendon Primary School was on the corner of West Lakes Boulevard and Tapley's Hill Road, which maybe Shawnee might remember because
West
the footy
Lakes, of
stadium
course,
down the road.
Footy Park.
Yes.
Okay, so Shawnee would know. We had to walk as a school group with our little buddies holding hands. It was summer.
Yeah.
We had to walk from that corner all the way to the Old Port Road, which was a good maybe 3-4K away.
Kids.
And because the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were coming through, there was a procession with the royal sort of, Rolls Royces and all that.
Yeah.
We had to walk, then we sat on the asphalt so we could wave at the Queen. And we got to see the Queen. She was on our side of the road.
Yes.
And then we had to walk all the way back. But these are days before water bottles and toilet breaks.
And sunscreen,
and
probably.
The kids.
Yes.
And, absolutely no sunscreen. There was no hats or, only pretty socks and sandals.
Yes.
But I just remember that. And she was as close to us. We just happened to be sitting on that first row because we were the younger kids and the older kids were at the back of us. But we got to wave. And she did. She waved and she had gloves on and she had a hat on. But I've always been a royalist for whatever reason. But, it was just one of those things. I always remembered it. And then we saw Princess Di and Charles when they came through in the 80s in Adelaide. Same thing, like on the road, but of course I was an adult then. I didn't have to go, but I chose.
And you had your own water bottle.
Yes, that's right.
I did. And I actually had a water bottle and a hat back then.
Yeah. We live and learn. Yeah.
We do. But I was watching the TV all last night and I couldn't believe she was passing away. But anyway, at least she's with Prince Philip now.
Exactly. Just on that, Nikki, when you said we were lucky we were on the Queen's side,
yes.
People would always spew if they were on the Prince Philip side.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You always
that's a good point.
Philip grew up. Philip lived his whole life knowing people wanted to be on the side that
wanted
the Queen
to be on the Queen's side.
That's so true.
I know.
That is really
just
funny.
looking at disappointed faces as he drives past.
Oh no!
I mean, that's nice, like slow clap, but
it's not
I want the
Queen.
Queen side.
Hey, Nikki, one of my favourite things about leaving, going down West Lakes Road was there was a drive-through smoke mart, which I've never seen before in any other state other than South Australia.
What a fond
Nikki
memory.
doesn't care.
We're talking about the Queen, Sean. Narelle's in Gidgigana.
Drive-through.
Hi, Narelle.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Narelle. Okay, what's your Queen memory?
It's actually my dad. He had a story he used to like to tell us.
Yeah.
So it was, I think, 1963. So he was about 8 and his brother was 6. And they had closed off Great Eastern Highway near where they lived, and the Queen was procession, whatever you call it, Queen procession, was going past in her carriage.
Yes.
Everyone was lined up, and they were all waving for her to go past, and as she started to go past, everyone's waving, and they had a pet goat. And this goat decided it was a good time to take off from my uncle's arms and head out into the road. And then he had to chase it into the middle of the road and pull it back. It caused an accident with the Queen and everything. Inside of her carriage.
I love how we're going to see the Queen. Get the goat.
That's right, yeah. Why are you taking
what do we
the
need?
goat
We
off?
need a bottle of water, a hat, some sunscreen, and the goat. Don't forget the goat. That's great.
That is so cute.
Can't trust ghosts.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.